Okay, so we're now presenting a project called Pengok Kidul Baru, the growing Kampung, in which we try to provide affordable and attractive and flexible housing with a focus on community and gathering spaces. And Nina is now starting to give you an overview of the site and the context.
Okay. First, the title of this project is Pengok Kidul Baru, Growing Kampung. Baru means new, and Pengok Kidul is the name of the village where this project land is located. And growing kampung means village that can grow and develop further. So Jogja city area is 32 square kilometers, and the total population is 435,000 people, with population density is 13,000 people per square kilometer, is 0.93%. So Jogja city people have 6 religions with Islam as the majority. And climate of Kota Jogja is tropical, with dry season is from May to October, and the rainy season is from November to April, with 100 until 150 rainy days per year. Next is the project land is located in the Gondokusuman sub-district and in the Pengok Kidul village. And then the site analysis. The land is surrounded by village in the east and in the south, and while the west side is shops and the north is city street. Across the north street is a pawn shop, restaurant, and some food stalls. Behind them is a railway, and then there is a gas station right next to the site. Right in the east side is a small river. Then there is a postcard or gardu ronda and several inns. In the south, there is a small mosque, a library for villager kids, a kindergarten, and a motorbike parking. And in the west side, there is a bus stop, several kind of stores, a restaurant, and quite far in the northwest is the Lempuyangan station. And the inside of the site itself, there is a warehouse for storing gas. Next is Kanter.
Okay, for our core concept, we looked into the surroundings of the area, which is dominated by the Kampung, as Nino already mentioned. For the segmentation of the site, we drew the axis of the surrounding neighborhoods, the entrances to the Kampung, through our area and split the area into several parts. While the access service main alleys in our area, which then later open up into the rectangular center public space derived from the idea of the alun-alun in historic Indonesian cities. The public space in the center contains stairs where the floor materiality rises to provide seating for recreational purposes or for public outdoor events. To the shape of our concept for our design, we looked into the spatial situations in the Kampung. We analyzed the aerial photographs, and winding in narrow streets we found make up a typical characteristic of Kampung, which we tried to apply on our design. By placing L-shaped buildings in blocks of 4 together, we generated generous open courtyards in the center of the blocks, where also the circulation for the buildings will be located. And also between those blocks, the narrow streets provide protection from the sun and surface circulation in the district. In order to break up the rigid grid, we rotated individual buildings out of block and tilted some blocks as a whole by a few degrees, through which we created more and different interesting public and spatial scenes in the alleys in the districts. On the next map, you can already see the system applied on our design, and you can also see the maximum heights of the individual buildings. The heights differ in a range from 2 to 4 stories and are determined by 2 factors. The first is to have buildings that we rotated into the center of a courtyard. This should be lower so they do not create an overwhelming height and vibe in the courtyards, so that you don't get this crushing feeling of this high building in the center. And the second guideline for the building heights is the sun and noise protection. Because we in the buildings in the west, we held them higher in 4 stories because of the noise protection from the main road. Also, every block has 1 higher building in the east with 4 stories to protect the courtyard from the hot morning sun and to prevent them from overheating. Yeah, next page, please. Okay, so here you can see the first renderings and get an impression of the project's atmosphere. The first shot, the first illustration is from our central courtyard. The second one is this narrow alleys we have for circulation through the neighborhoods. Third one is located on the next to the park we created in the eastern fringe of the site, with also the possibility to go down and sit and dwell next to the river. And the fourth one is the southern entrance, just to get an impression what the Kampung, what it looks like to enter the site. As you can see, the site is paved with bricks and dominated by pedestrians. The pavement, while densely laid in the center and in the main alleys, breaks up from the entering the side alleys into the courtyards, just to dissolve in the center of the courtyards, where vegetation dominates the ground. The omitted bricks allow for vegetation in between and better soil absorption during the rainy season, and also should create a feeling of public and semi-public area, as when you leave the main road, this dissolvement should give you the impression that you are now leaving public space and entering into a living neighborhood of some sort. Yes, that's now to the building materiality overall. It is a mixture of reinforced concrete in the ground floor and the framework above, which the inhabitants then can later fill themselves with wooden structures, brick and adobe walls, with brick and adobe walls in the back and in the shadowy alleys, so they don't get overheated and kind of can cool down the flats in the nighttime, so to say. And the roof consists of a light wood and bamboo structure. Yeah, that was that part.
Okay. Here I'm going to show you the 3D overview about the whole settlement. And I'd like to start talking about the street situations, because you see the arrows show the entrances again of the settlement. But the settlement is not used for car driving or motorcycle driving. So near the gas station and also in the southern entrance, we have some parking space. And you are just allowed to drive in the settlement if you have to deliver something or emergency vehicles or something like that. but overall it's a settlement just for bicycle driving and pedestrians. And again, you can see, which Günther talked about, our alun alun in the center of the village, where there are some seating steps, and this is the 3D structure. You can maybe see it a bit better as in the floor plan. And this staircases open up to a community center that we included here. You can see the public buildings are in this orange color. So we have here a big public space, and the community center is also working as a mosque, as well as there is included event and some meeting rooms, common kitchens, and also as we were told, it is good for a community to have some healthcare center for little kids. So we tried in this settlement, we tried to include every functions that are important for a kampung, because we try to offer some kampung expandable and good, more qualitative settlement. And so you can see that we also have this this security guard houses. You can see it here as well in the entrance areas of the settlement, because it's common that there is some security guard house for an action called Posronda, where the guys go out at night and observing the settlement for thieves, really. And as well as we have some area in the ground floor in the edges of every L blocks. You use it basically for some public functions as workshops, and also maybe restaurants and normal shops and storage houses, because we also took the storage houses that are existing on the riverside away. And so we offer maybe, for example, in this area, it varies, it can be basically everywhere. It's really no problem for our structure. We offer some new storage options. And what's also important, that we have a main entrance in the west using these 2 abandoned houses, which is the nearest entrance to the railway station. And we use it as a welcome for tourists or something like that. It can include a tourist info and bed and breakfast. And we use it to attract new people into the settlement. And as well, you see the bamboo park over on the riverside, which also is important for us, because it provides new construction material for our settlement. And also there is included some playgrounds and some facilities for free time plays. And about the public uses in the settlement, you will hear more detail from Pega how it's gonna work, and I'm switching to the next page.
Yes. Our idea in this project was that the residents can always easily expand their homes with locals, materials, or new residents can join the neighborhood by providing a basic support structure on already completed roof. And also we have traces for each floor that give us the opportunity to expand the living space. The foundation and walls are made of concrete to reduce the effect of earthquake and to protect against water damage. And therefore, the ground floor is fully built from the beginning, and only the upper floor will be filled with light and cheap material from time to time. And now about, I can say it here. And in addition, as we can see, because of air ventilation, we have everywhere sliding elements instead of windows, which means they can move them according to their needs. And now about the floor plans. First, I would like to say that before we started drawing our floor plans, we observed some plans from Kampungs because we wanted to design our floor plans in the same way as Kampungs, which means you can get the most out of the tiny space. In addition, you can earn some money from a part of the house. So we have two types of housing. The first one is about 17 square meter with or without loft bed, which can be used for bed or also storage. And this type is housing on studying, which means they can use for families or also students. We thought about multifunctional place. What we paid a lot of attention to the design is the useful furniture in the tiny space according to the needs. That means the furniture will be used in the different way during the day and night. For example, we have a sofa bed, so they use it as a sofa during the day and they can open it at night and use it as a bed. Or we have some foldable table in the closet. Yeah, they can open the closet and also open the table and use it for ironing, studying, reading, or something like that. And they can close it again, so they can use more space according to their needs. For another housing and studying type, we have a loft bed. We use a ladder to get to the bed, which takes up less space and can be moved or removed as needed. The second type is housing with income producing space. They are around 40 square meter. For example, the left one, we have 44 square meter plus loft bed. Here we have a small restaurant, which called in Kampung Warung Makan, and a loft bed, which can be rented for passengers or students, because we have a separate ladder so they can get to the bed from the restaurants. What is here important, we have a direct connection between the kitchen and restaurants. The food will be cooked in the kitchen and will be served through the small window. Can you go down?
Where?
Down? It's okay. So sorry. So we have a direct connection between the kitchen and restaurants. The food will be cooked in the kitchen and will be sold through the small window. People can decide to sit here or take it away. On the right one, we have a small shop, but just as a showcase, which called Warung in Kampung. They can sell their basic daily necessaries things through this showcase. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, here you can see top view from a top floor. So, and Nina, are you ready?
Okay, yes. So I will talk about the water system. So the source of clean water comes from the PDAM or Regional Water Company, and the water will be stored in the underground water tank. Then it will be pumped to the upper water tank. The upper water tank consists of 4 barrels of tanks, which function are to filter water. We found that this system is an easily self-built water filter, and this upper water tank will serve water for one vertically module of flats below it. Water will be distributed by gravity to the flats below, to the shower, water tap, toilet flush, and the kitchen sink. And about the rain harvesting system, the rainwater from the roof will be collected by the gutters and stored also in the underground water tanks. The reason why we mix the water is because rainwater in this area, which far from factories, so it's clean enough, as clean as the water from the regional water company. The amount of the rainwater when it's rainy season is very abundant, and when it's dry season, there will be no rain at all. So if we have separate water system, for example, rainwater is used only for the toilet flush, then they cannot flush in the dry season. So the next picture is explaining about the wastewater system and the ventilation. So from each flat toilet, the wastewater will flow into communal septic tank, which also function as the biogas reactor. The gas produced by the decomposing process will be collected and flow into the genset as fuel to produce electricity. The electricity will turn on the pump to rotate water for the aquaponic system. And the residue from the reactor can be used as the fertilizer by adding the soil. And about the ventilation, the wind will flow from front door to window in the upper back side of the flat. Also, the high roof is not only used for hiding the water barrels, but also a space for restrain the hot energy from the sun so that it will be swept away by the winds. Okay, so that's the system we propose in our project in order to deal with the climate and the water issue. Also, we'll work with the house upgrading. So we're done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very interesting project. And Nares, what do you think about the project?
Okay, group 1. I think
Yes.
it's nice title, Growing Kampung. But the incremental spaces is just vertical, if I'm not mistaken, or also horizontally incremental spaces.
Yeah, both directions basically.
Both. Okay, and also because I think you explained for the horizontal spaces is maybe just maybe during the night and during the day it will be different function, but how the incremental spaces is not explained it yet, or how is it? For the vertical spaces, I think you already mentioned about we can grow up vertically with the material that light, and also because in the ground floor it's more permanent, but upper is more light structure. I think that's a good growing spaces vertically. But about the horizontal growing spaces, maybe you can explain it more clearly how the horizontal growing spaces will be.
Yeah, basically, so out of these L blocks, you can't expand your flats. Just inner the framework, the concrete framework, you can fill it, but nothing outside this framework.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's like you provided the frame, and then the inhabitant could incrementally creating
maybe
spaces
10 years later all is built up, and the maximum height that we suggested is reached, and maybe in the beginning something like this, and a lot of structure is left empty. This was
okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice approach for that. But if we see the plan, is it relatively dense? Because it's already so many frames. How about the density? It's it.
Okay,
if we see the whole plan, settlement plan.
We have here a little calculation about, we calculated here what would it be if it's totally built. So that's also difficult because it's not totally expanded at the beginning. So the calculation would be an end calculation. And
Okay.
we have a density if we fill everything of about 1.13.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a nice approach to have a growing kampung with while we provided the frame, and then people can manage their own spaces after that. Okay, I think that's all for group 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nares. Thank you. And what about you, Ikaputra? What do you think about the project?
Yeah, I think I have to appreciate for the detail of developing the house unit. Yeah. So even you also explaining how the system of the water and also the uh, plan. However, I think this is a kind of the um, modular system, like the because you have already 2 or 4 building blocks to one unit to be inserted in the area. But I just wonder that how to put it into the whole site plan. Still not clear yet to me, because if you can see with this plan, almost all is the same, but how the plan or the unit, which consists of 4 building blocks, inserted into a system of the kampung itself. For example, how the hierarchy of the block, how the variety of the people can moving on the kampung system. That was, I just wonder on it.
Thank you, Ikaputra. Is there any answer from your side, Tina?
Okay, yeah. I think the problem is really that we don't have a 1 to 200 plan where you can see how the flats are located near each other. But yeah, basically it's so that you see one time always there is this long depth of the flat and this smaller one, and you can imagine from that, okay, this is a small type flat and this is a big type flat, and you have still left some area here that isn't really the flat types that we provided, because this is something extra. And I think the problem is that we don't show this anywhere except of the 3D axis, because this is also some area that could be of multifunctional use, or rather it is a new flat type where they could make some bigger flat for what they really, if they don't want one of our concepts, then the edges here, these are some different flats. And I think the problem is that we don't have a floor plan out of this. But I can understand the critic.
No, I think it's good explanation. So I have been more understandable on your concept, meaning that although it's consists of 4 blocks, the composition is not the same between one block and other block. I think this is quite clear for me, and I think why is my question in one hand, when I have an answer on your flexibility to compose is a great things. But the other one, when you have a already pattern to compose, always have a 4, always in a chord. That means that when you develop this one, it's become faster. It's become a clear guideline. So I think I like that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ikaputra. And Dia, are you going also to comment?
Sorry for leaving away. Okay, thank you, Pak Nariman. I think it was challenging and also interesting to change irregular pattern of typical kampung into a regular pattern of settlement with still the image of vertical kampung. But you doing it well, I think. The other is the idea of opening main access from the west and east from the kampung side, surrounding kampung side, not directly from the main road is a good point here that it provides secure access to the settlement area, I think. Now there is, you have also a good point on providing welcoming open space at the entrance as functioning as a community center space. However, you have various types of dwelling units and the composition of their shapes, as well as design strategy for multifunction flexible space have also been completed well with sufficient detail and creativity. That's all is, I think is very good idea. Okay, thank you, Pak Nariman.
Thank you, Didi.